Hi, it's me, Ingrid INFP, and I've not been doing too well today, which is why I have these earphones on. Uh, and I'm feeling kind of tired. I took a nap, and after work, I had a good time at work, but I'm distracting myself from other problems. Um, I did talk a little bit to my coworkers about my supposed ADHD and that kind of thing. And uh, they were pretty open about it, since a lot of them have children with ADHD or autism. Um, they don't see it in me, but they're supportive. So I've been extremely happy going there at work, but then all of this stuff that I'm thinking about so intensely um, kind of tires me out once I come back home. And what's been happening is that I've been listening to everybody's idea of me. And I think that INFPs do care a lot about what other people think. Um, Even though we don't have a FE, that's where our problem is that we do care a lot about what people think of us. Um, I think that because we don't have the social awareness that FE has, um, we often end up in awkward situations, and it makes things difficult for us to navigate. And and I think that because we're so sensitive, it's easy for us to end up in this uh, difficulty. Um, I I've been having problems with my family, with my friends, with different people around me. I keep thinking of what other people are thinking, and if they express an opinion about me, it kind of turns my world upside down. Um, and I'm surrounded by FE users who often uh, think that in order to grow as a person, you need to take in other people's perspectives of you, which is true to a certain extent, but it also isn't, because ultimately, if I knows that we know ourselves best than anybody else, we're the only ones who have been with ourselves since the day we were born. Even our mother, who was there from day one, um, is not going to be with you every step of the way. And so we know ourselves best. We're the ones who are inside our head. And yes, that can be biased, but ultimately it is the truth that we know ourselves best, because we're the only ones who understand our own thoughts. And I think that we need to embrace that fact and not let other people tell us who we are, because we're not those people. People have idealized versions, demonized versions of us, and that makes us prone to being gaslit. And I think a psychiatrist made a video recently about being gaslit, and it has happened to me a few times. I think that the fact that I might have ADHD and that I've had depression means that my memory is often pretty bad. And so I start questioning what I actually remember. And I also, because I'm a unsure person, I'm also an Enneagram 6, I often take other people's versions of me very seriously. And then I question everything. I question what they are saying, but I also question what I myself thought about myself. And it makes for a very stressful life situation because I know who I am. As an INFP, how could you not but I'm always doubting. And it makes for a big chaos in my head that's always like incapacitating me. And so people throughout the years have called me selfish, they've called me immature, childish, naive, stupid even. They've called me too shy, too weak, too scared, too weird, all sorts of things. And it's hard not to internalize all of that when you've been bullied most of your life. And even though I know that I'm smart, I know that I'm smarter than a lot of people. It's hard for me to actually believe it. And it's hard for me to realize that I actually am pretty wise and mature for, compared to some people, because I've been told that I am a different person again and again. So yes, we need to not be completely closed off to what people think of us, but at the same time, sometimes we need to learn to stop listening to those voices, those people. And so it's kind of a lot. I've gotten into a fight with a friend, and I'm also in a fight with my parents because of their idea of me not really corresponding to my idea of myself. My mom still thinks that I'm this 12-year-old, that I'm her baby, and I'm not that person anymore. Same goes for my friends who have known me for many years. I'm not the same person. I'm not the person that they have idealized. And my enemies too. I'm not the person that they have demonized. So I was thinking of, because of everything that's been going on, I've been also kind of triggered by the gaslighting that's been going on. And I am pretty confident in saying that it is gaslighting. There've been other people. It's been happening quite a lot lately. And I think it's because people have seen that I'm vulnerable at the moment because of my mental health. My boss does that. I mean, a lot of people want you to remember reality in the way that they see it. And that's often not true. And it's hard for us to, because we're so flexible, so accommodating, and we often don't have a big presence. People won't often listen to our perspective on the thing, even though we listen to everybody's perspective. We don't. Also, we are kind of we also have difficulty. I'm not going to take away all the blame from the INFP, because we do have difficulty noticing things in the outside world. So we might miss out and not notice something important, not notice that we're being tricked, or that the reason for the misunderstanding is because we have not assessed the situations correctly. And it's not because we have ill intent, because INFPs, we don't have a mean bone in our body, especially for the people that we love. But we have difficulty seeing, understanding how people actually feel. So lately I've a friend of mine told me that I have no empathy. My mom also told me that. Because yes, lately I've been doing things for myself more. And and so I've been called selfish by different people. It's nothing new, but it's something that people have said lately, and it's been hurting me quite a lot. Psychologically, I've been, ranking myself, punishing myself, and I don't think that I actually am selfish. I do think a lot about what people think of me. And yes, that's not good in itself either, but if I was so selfish, would I be so concerned about making other people happy? It's not just for status or my reputation or whatever. I genuinely do want people to be happy. And I've been trying to fulfill everybody's expectations of me throughout my whole life, which has made me devoid of all life experience until the age of 25. So I do know a thing or two about wanting to fulfill other people's expectations and wanting to please everybody and being empathetic to people. It's just that my sense of empathy is different than other people's, because maybe while some FE users or sensors might see somebody, they might notice something about a person and notice that they're in pain and react accordingly. Sometimes I miss some of the signals and I just know that something's off, but I don't really understand what the actual problem is. And that leads to, because INFPs are so kind of lost in the real world, it can make us prone to being gaslit, of not being able to trust the reality around you because somebody else told you that it isn't so. And that's why people get angry at me in certain situations where I was completely oblivious. So I've told you guys about a creepy guy, and I was debating about should I tell you guys about this, but I have mentioned this before, and I don't think there's actually anything new. But this is where I was gaslit the most, to my knowledge. I was harassed many years ago by a friend of a friend who came by at my house to visit for a Halloween party. And my friends had to leave early because we had school the next day. And so I was alone with this guy, and I thought, well, we're friends. And we were watching Monty Python, The Holy Grail, which was one of my favorite films, but since then has been extremely triggering to me. And we were watching it, and because I don't really understand social cues and the like, sometimes I get kind of tricked, and then it's like, how could you not know? How could you not know that this was the case? And so I don't assess situations very well because I'm kind of oblivious to the outside world. So he asked me to, he said, put your feet there on there's a footstool. And so I did, and then he put his legs around mine, and then he started hugging me. Well, no, first he suggested a pillow fight, and I kind of froze, and I went into the freeze response, and then, well, he took it as me wanting to be hugged, or because I kind of went limp. And so he hugged me and started, well, he had his hand on my face and was trying to turn my head so that we could kiss. I kind of resisted at that point, and he was rubbing circles around my hand with his big hands, and I was like, oh shit, how did I end up here? And like, you kind of gaslight yourself into thinking like, well, you invited the situation because you did put your feet onto that footstool. And that's not the truth of it. The truth of it is that this person took advantage of your vulnerable situation. You're alone with him. Nobody else knows about this. And instead of reacting to your needs, they're just thinking about what they want to see from you. And they don't actually care. That is a lack of empathy. I mean, me not understanding his intentions is not a lack of empathy. I mean, it's in a certain sense, it means that I'm no mind reader, but at the same time, it's kind of, well then, like, when I had to discuss this with him later on, well, he was gaslighting me the whole time because he was like he implied that I wanted it in some way, and that I was sending him mixed signals, and that I was friend-zoning him, when actually, well, I did not notice his signals, and I just thought that we were being friends, and then it suddenly escalated. I did not see the trend happening. That's why I think that, like, I might be autistic, because that's the sort of thing that autistic girls have to deal with on a daily basis. But I think that it's not too far of a stretch to think that INFPs are prone to being gaslit, because of our questioning nature, because of our good heart, because of the fact that we have trouble with reality and what is dream and what isn't, and we are often pretty shy and quiet, and so people don't listen to like our opinion of what our reality is, because we're weird, so our reality is not the reality. And all of this makes us really vulnerable to this kind of abusive way of doing things. And we are also experts at gaslighting ourselves. So please check out Psych Castrol's video, because it was really good. I did want to share about this incident because after that, I think that I've been much better at like trusting my own mind. It was difficult at first because what actually happened after that was that another girl wanted to talk to me, and she got really mad that I had inadvertently pushed him towards her, because then he started harassing her. But I didn't know that that was going to be the case when I when I told him to leave my house. Basically what I said, like I got up because I was so shaky when I after this had happened, that I was in the bathroom, I cried, and then I went back out and I told him, when are you leaving? I told him, when are you leaving? And then he went towards the door and put his shoes on, looked at me in pity, like he was looking at me like he was some sad dog. And I was like, I don't care. And so that was then treated as like me not having empathy for him. There are all sorts of ways people can twist your behavior into into the way that they want to have power over you. And so that incident, after that, I was much more aware of, I wasn't aware of the outside world, but I came to realize that no, people don't know my reality as well as I do. And my reality, I can trust it. I'm not insane. And I need to be able to trust something in order to go forward. And sometimes my version of reality is the right one. And I shouldn't be doubting myself so much, because I have eyes, I have ears. I know what happened. So it's been difficult at the moment because, well, my parents are gaslighting me, and my friends are too, and my bosses too, and kind of a difficult situation to be in, but at least I am aware of it. And so awareness is power. And so now I can like be okay with it. In the end, it's all summarized by what my supervisor told me yesterday. She said that because I'm also being gaslit by the mental health community of thinking that everything is because of ADHD and autism and not because of other things. So my supervisor summarized it. She said, "You know who you are." And I was like, you sure? And she was like, "You do." And then it's like, okay, that is clever, because she's using her opinion of me to make me believe myself, which is pretty ironic, but pretty well done, because I trust her opinion, so then that means that I have to trust my opinion. I have to trust my opinion that I trust her opinion. And it was such a relief to hear that from her. She said, "Ingrid, you know yourself. You don't need to listen to anybody else. Why should they know who you are? Why should you even give them your time? You're smart. You're an extraordinary person. And you should believe in yourself. Nobody else is going to do it for you." And so that's a pretty empowering message. I think that, yes, a whole part of being an INFP is questioning reality, questioning who we are at all times. But I think that we can be pretty confident that we're the ones with the most information, the most, who have spent the most time on this than anybody else, even in accordance to ourselves, that we have thought about ourselves and the nature of reality more than any of the other types, with maybe the exception of certain of INFJs or some other types. But we have thought about our identity the most out of every other type. So I think that we can be pretty certain in who we are and what we want from life. And we shouldn't think that just because we have difficulties in certain areas that we are totally incapable of understanding life and reality, because we actually are capable of this. We are sometimes oblivious to certain things, and that makes us kind of naive at times. But I think that it doesn't make us bad people for not being totally understanding everything in the world. So yeah, tell me what you guys think. Shout out to Psycasserole for inspiring this video, and shout out to my supervisor for being so nice and to my colleagues who have been supportive as well, and to my brother who is going through a tough time right now, and who stands up against my parents about like me doing what is right for my life. So yeah, have a great day, everybody. Bye.